The NAACP passes a resolution condemning racist elements within the Tea Party. Tea Partiers insist they are not racist, and to prove it, one of the movement's leaders accuses the NAACP of making, quote, more money off of race than any slave trader ever. In our third story, as one Tea Party defender puts it, this kind of name-calling is destructive, not the racist, bigoted remarks. The resolution calling out the Tea Party for such racist, bigoted remarks. NAACP President Ben Jealous will join us. The NAACP's resolution calling to repudiate the racism of the Tea Party passed unanimously at the group's convention in Kansas City, prompting the half-governor of Alaska to opine on her Facebook page. The charge that Tea Party Americans judge people by the color of their skin is false, appalling, and is a regressive and diversionary tactic to change the subject at hand. Thankfully, the Tea Party movement is not racist or motivated by racism. It is motivated by love of country and all that is good and honest about our proud and diverse nation. That woman is an idiot, even on Facebook. That motivation illustrated here by the North Iowa Tea Party, the group creating a billboard that, while hardly explicitly racist, compares President Obama to Hitler and Lenin and is accompanied by the statement, "Radical leaders prey on the fearful and naive." The billboard has since been papered over. Meanwhile, a St. Louis Tea Party group is calling on the IRS to revoke the NAACP's tax-exempt status. Michelle Malkin calling the resolution a smear fest against the Tea Party, and the embattled RNC chair, Michael Steele, without naming the NAACP, also defending the Tea Party by labeling recent statements as, quote, destructive. Tea Party activists, he said, are a diverse group of passionate Americans who want to ensure that our nation returns to founding principles, enough with the name-calling. To elevate discourse, enter the former chairman of the Tea Party Express, Mark Willams. As Think Progress reports, Mr. Williams' previous track record includes calling President Obama a, quote, Indonesian Muslim turned welfare thug and racist in chief, calling the Muslim god Allah a terrorist's monkey god, to which Tea Party Express told Talking Points memo, Mr. Williams' bigoted language, quote, doesn't have anything to do with the Tea Party Express. It's just one of the leaders. But as Michael Steele says, enough with the name-calling. Mr. Williams argues it's actually the NAACP that is acting bigoted here.
You're dealing with people who are professional race baiters who make a very good living off of this kind of thing. They make more money off of race than any slave trader ever. It's time groups like the NAACP went to the trash heap of history where they belong with all the other vile racist groups that emerged in our history.
On National Public Radio, that liberal bastion, no less. As promised, joining me now, the president of the NAACP, Ben Jealous. Thanks for some of your time tonight, sir.
Thank you.
All right, you heard it. What is your response to Mr. Williams' allegations there?
Look, you know, what we did is we said, repudiate the racists in your ranks, repudiate the acts of bigotry. We've sat here and we've watched as you've carried these vile signs. We've sat here and we've watched these vile statements. We've sat here and we've watched as you've called civil rights icons and congressmen like John Lewis the N-word and Barney Frank the F-word. And what we haven't heard, and, you know, and this I'll tell your folks the first time because of Mike Steele's crazy comment. You know, what we haven't heard is them come out and say, I've sat down and had lunch with Mike Steele multiple times, and Mike, please come out and say something about this racism. And he never does. He, you know, just a little kind of nod here, a little thing there. Come out and say there is no space for bigotry in the Republican Party. There is no space for bigotry in the Tea Party. That's what they need to do. Just say we disavow these acts and we disavow the people who do them. Is it that hard?
Do you think that what you passed was actually kind of moderate? Because it struck me that one of the points that you emphasized was that the Tea Party is not a racist movement, but is merely tolerating racism and bigotry by its members. I thought that was kind of mild.
Look, you know, this is not about party. You know, racism isn't about party. It's about what's moral and what's right. And it's possible for people to be in the Tea Party and, you know, be in the NAACP. I had a NAACP member who's a Tea Party member come up to me after my speech, put his arm around me and say, thank you. I know there's space for me in the NAACP. I belong to the Tea Party, but I've been in Texas, but I've been beginning to feel as if there's not space for me there. Thank you for speaking up and making sure that there will always be a place for people like me in the Tea Party. That's what we do as the NAACP. We're not in this for party. We're in this for what's right and what's moral.
Was this considered a year ago as this thing sort of mushroomed out of nowhere, blossomed out of nowhere? Was there a thought that you needed to say something as an organization last year? And if not, why take the time that you did to say something?
Sure. We come together once a year for this process. We've been doing it for 101 years. years. People come from all over the country. There's a whole process for months that leads up to it. This resolution was brought to us by people here in the state of Missouri who deeply disturbed, feeling attacked, feeling slandered, and also knowing that the Council of Conservative Citizens, the lineal descendant of the White Citizens Council, a group that says that black people are not equipped to participate in democracy, and which is based in St. Louis, has been bragging about their influence in the Tea Party, has been encouraging people to get more involved in the Tea Party, talking about their representation in the Tea Party. And so knowing that that's going on in their state, they said, please try to get Dick Armey to stand up and just say there's no space for racists in our party. There's no space for people who hold up these vile signs in our party. There's no space for people who spit on congressmen like Congressman Cleaver, who's also from here, in our party.
Melissa Harris Lacewell was on the show the other day talking about this and this measure, and she made what I thought was a great point. Do you think that the people who are doing this in the Tea Party, who may be doing racist things, do not truly believe that they're doing racist things, that their idea of racism is what they saw in the newsreels from Selma in the 60s?
It's possible that some of them don't realize that, but the Council of Conservative Citizens and Stormfront.org, which David Duke always promotes as a big site that tracks violent white supremacists, clearly know that they're racist, and they clearly know that they love the Tea Party, and they say that they're in the Tea Party, and they're promoting and encouraging people to join. We got death threats at our office in Los Angeles today, and if there aren't violent racists in the Tea Party, then why are people calling, threatening to kill us for speaking out about violent racists in the Tea Party?
I don't mean to laugh, but it does sort of prove your point, rather self-evidently. Ben Jealous, president of the NAACP, great thanks, and continued success to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.